crossfader there, or you could just keep it in the middle and use the vertical channel faders. So that's what I do, because to me that makes more sense. Alright. Aside from that, the mixer is going to have its own onboard effects engine. So if you want to add echo, delay, flanger, phaser, other audio color effects, that's going to be on board the mixer. The software will have some effects too, but usually the hardware pieces will sound more real.
Right.
So then from the software aspect, the software is going to give you full analysis of your song. So it'll give you a tempo readout, it'll give you a time readout, so you can do start from 0, or you can start from the end, the full time of the song, and it'll just count down. So that's helpful for finding placement. So the different phrases within the song, you can see at what time something comes in, when certain action is happening. Software also takes it one step further and analyzes the sounds by color. So everything from red being in like the bass regions to like violet being the ultra high frequencies, like hi-hats or cymbals for vocals. Let's see.
Is that virtual DJ?
This is Serato. This is an older version of Serato that they don't even support anymore, but I'm one of those people that once I have something that works, I don't want to change it.
Right.
So this is literally version 1.1. This is probably like 4 years old by now, but it still works. So they've updated it all to Serato DJ now, which looks a little more fancy, has a couple extra features, but as far as like getting the job done, that works just fine. So, like I said, I'm kind of one of those people, once it works, I don't want to change it. I have too many bad experiences.
Right.
So, alright, do first thing, any DJ needs to know is how to beat match. Best way to learn how to beat match is you play the same song into itself. Because the song is going to do what the song does. So with house, basic full 4 time signature, around 120s, so about every 15 seconds or so something happens. 15 seconds, new phrase. So usually all the phrases will either work in like 16 bars, 32 bars, just like regular music. And then as far as mixing it, your goal is to find the phrase that will have the same counts as whatever it is that you're trying to mix it into. So essentially you're just swapping. So if you had, a phrase went 1, 2, 3, 4, you could swap maybe 2 with 3, 3 with 2, and it would still play the same. So phrase is about to end. So now, when that phrase, you kind of hear some phasing issues. Now, you just take different parts, flow them into each other, so as you fade one out, we'll bring another one. And work on the floor. So once they're synced up, you'll always have action on the same notes. So as you see when they're phrased, they're interchangeable. Now, you can literally start it again, and you could make the song sound like it never stops. You could essentially just keep adding different phrases in, and it would just continue to go on, and it would seem like it's the same song. So essentially you're trying to trick your audience into believing that you're just playing one song. They'll realize that, Of course, there's different songs playing, but they blend together so well that they can't tell when one record stops and another record begins. That's the ultimate goal. And when you're able to phrase everything correctly, that's how you can achieve that goal. And everything will still be in time, and it will all mesh. So beat matching and phrasing are going to be the two most crucial things to learn as a DJ, aside from having an ear for music, which if you don't have that, kind of sucks. You can't really learn it. But aside from that, DJs are just audiophiles. There's really not that much, not that much to it. If you know good music, you can count to 16. You are overqualified to be a DJ. So that, in addition to just a basic live sound setup of just understanding where your signal's coming from, where it's going, that's going to give you the ability to be able to tie into other systems if you're going and playing at different places, or if you're even setting up your own stuff. And knowing your own system is greatly going to benefit you, because it would really suck to get to a gig that you're all hyped about and you don't know how to connect up your stuff. So it makes you look bad, you seem unprofessional, the people aren't happy because they're not hearing music. So you got to know what you're working with. So that's kind of why we tailored the packages to include some hardware. So once you take these classes and you learn on a piece of hardware, you'll actually be able to take that home with you. You're actually able to perform with it. So it's not like, okay, here's all this knowledge, have fun. It's actually, here's this knowledge, how to use it, now go do something with it. So that's kind of the beauty in how we're kind of differentiating ourselves from the competition. So do y'all have any questions like off the bat, like on what's going on or how it works?
I could probably come up with one.
It's all good.
I mean, the beat mapping and phrasing, it makes sense. Especially when the waves are color coded.
When you can see it, man. DJ software has just added a completely different element, because before you were always limited to just what you could hear. And you would kind of have to close your eyes and try to mentally picture the things lining up. But software took it to the next step, and they're like, all right, we're going to give you a visual element. So not only can you hear what you're doing, but say if you're in a really loud club environment and you were trying to mix and you couldn't really hear everything, like if it's like hitting at the right point, you can actually see Serato has like a little mini checker here that is actually smaller than the two major waves to see that it's exactly lined up. Right. So when these two lines form like a straight line, they're right on.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful, because if you read that, the lines may be straight, but the sound may be phasing. So it would be taking out all the dynamics of the sound. So it would sound hollow or just not right. So I'll give you an example of what that will sound like. You kind of heard it when I played this song earlier with the hi-hats kind of blending. You can kind of hear it. Yeah. It's a little bit different. So now, this one is slightly off. You can tell. Not right. One's too slow. It works vice versa if one's too fast. So Serato will show you what's happening, so you can make those adjustments on the fly and make them match together. And another thing with phrasing is that once you have something correctly phrased, it will flow into the song so well that it would seem like they were together. Like you could take two completely different songs, just since these are the same, I'll switch it up just so you can kind of get an idea of what it sounds like when something is phrased correctly. Another cool thing is you can categorize all your music. So when you start to get a pretty substantial music collection, you can save different folders, so you can sort of remember where stuff is. Like me, I do mine a little different. I do it by date, so I do it by month really. And that way, if someone says like, oh hey, I just got this new song, I'd be like, it's not that new, I was playing 5 months ago. So that's all part of it as well. So let's see. shall. If my computer wants to. Alright, so in this one, we got a tempo difference. So track B is at 128 beats per minute, track A is at 125. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to bend the pitch of track A up so its tempo can rise. So let's see, at 125, I'm going to move the motor speed up a little bit. So Serato's telling me I'm getting closer, getting closer. Alright, so now tempos are matched. So what I'll do now, start this one from the very beginning, so at the beginning of its phrase. Just listen for the counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Alright, so please play for a second. Kind of shape the sound, make it blend a little better. Take some of the bass out. Vocal boost, kind of bring those out in the mix. Another cool thing Serato can do, you can loop on the fly. So it makes it even easier to mix songs, because if you get, in like a dangerous spot and you're stuck, you're like, oh no, I phrased something wrong, it's gonna, the break's gonna come before the other song seems like it's ready for it. You could just cut a nice little loop. It's quantized, so it's already in beat. So if they're already beat matched, you cut yourself a nice little loop, let it play.
Right.
It's actually a radio DJ trick. One of my friends who's a Power 106 DJ in LA, that's what he'll do. Right before the song, right before he's gonna get out of track A, he'll loop it on like an eighth or a 16th, so it'll just sound like just a drum hit. Is all the loop will capture, and it'll just fade over ever so slightly. So that just took a lot of the magic out of what people think DJs are doing. So it's really not as complex as some people might let on, or as they might, try to say that, oh yeah, I do all this and that. It's like, yeah, no, you're not really doing that. You just know some shortcuts.
Yeah.
But that goes with anything, whether you're DJing, producing music, or even tying your shoes, man. Shortcuts are the way of the world. All right. Any other questions?
So I have Tractor in my giant iMac.
Okay.
Does it work not like Serato, but can you
Totally.
use turntable?
It's the exact same concept.
Okay.
Basically, like Serato and Tractor, Virtual DJ, they're kind of like the Mercedes, BMW, and Audi of DJ software programs. So they'll each kind of have like their own kind of niche market. Like Serato Scratch Live was really developed for like turntablist style DJs. Tractor kind of took more of an effects-based approach. So they'll have like way cooler effects, more looping ability. So just for a different style. So really depending on what you're trying to accomplish, that would be what program I would go with. So, Virtual DJ is cool too because you can mix video with it. Most of the other programs you got to buy a plug-in to mix video with it. But I just like the layout of this. To me, it makes way more sense. It's nice, it's easy, it's simple, and if you're not really trying to deal with that when you're just trying to mix, like that's the way to do it.
All right, because I bought a turntable. It's a Stanton
Okay.
T52.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
I used to have one.
And I have Tractor, but I don't. What would you recommend for a beginner that only has one turntable?
I got you. Well, technically you can still use it. So get you a nice little 2-channel mixer. That's all you really need. They make an interface, the Audio 6, I think is what it is. And what that'll allow you to do is you get a control vinyl piece for Tractor. Then you can connect it to the turntable. You connect the turntable to that interface, and then Tractor can read in the computer that you're using it as a controller. So you'll be able to You know, you can scratch a little bit, or you could just use it to, you could use that as one real deck, and you can use the computer as a virtual deck. So you can still totally mix two things, but now you actually have some physical feeling to what you're doing. It's not just a bunch of mouse clicks, which can get kind of mundane.
All right.
Takes kind of some of the fun out of it. You know, you're not cool. You gotta feel it, you know? That'll make you come up with, you know, new stuff and kind of take you out of the comfort zone.
And that's very true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no DJ, but I'm good with timing.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge part of it, man.
And the crazy thing about that is my old computer had PC DJ Red.
Yeah.
There's no controller for that.
No. Some of there's a bunch of programs out now that kind of say they do the same stuff, but they're not on like a professional level like what like Serato and Tractor are doing. It'll just be more kind of for in the box.
It's all F5, F6.
Yeah, it's shortcuts.
Play in Q.
That's what
play
it is.
In Q.
Yeah, and some of the more like basic or like even like entry level programs, that's all you can do.
Yeah.
So it's like you kind of feel limited at that point because you can only do so much with the box in front of you. Sure, if this doesn't matter, you're just playing music to play music. Sure, use some shortcuts. But if you really want to take it to the next level and be a performer, then you need some kind of physical control to take you out of the box.
Because the next step after that, they came out with a program before Virtual DJ. PC DJ Red actually upgraded to decks.
Mm-hmm.
2 virtual turntables, but then 2 case players.
Yep.
Playing four things at one time. That was kind of it's kind of amazing.
And like Serato DJ, that'll allow you to do 4 things at once. Before the last couple of years, that was like an unheard of thing.
Right.
They were like, oh no, that's just too much. Who's really using 4 decks? But a lot of times people do, man. Like single people use 4, or it really works well if you've got 2 people because you can both share one computer. Mm-hmm. Or even now on the more elaborate systems, you can have 2 computers running completely different at completely different times, but still working on the same system. So they'll have 2 USB outlets instead of just the one on here. So that's kind of, that's cool for if you're performing with somebody else. You can do a tag team, back-to-back set. Makes it seamless.
You can run 2 of them at half speed.
There you go. There it is. Yeah, it's that much less like, because it's all real-time performance. So if you don't have enough RAM, you don't have a strong enough processor, it's going to take a second for your computer to think and deal with all this in real time. So stronger computer you get, that is one less hassle that you don't have to deal with. You're also going to want to buy external hard drives because your computer will crash on you. It will happen. When you least expect it, it will happen. Mine's crashed on me at the beginning of shows, in the middle of shows, it happens. But if you back everything up, not a big problem. Just restart it. You got all your files saved. But if you don't save your files, you're out. And it's really hard to scramble. So in that case, as a DJ, you really always have to be prepared for the worst case scenario. Just prepare like someone's going to knock something over. I'm going to have a power surge, going to fry all my equipment. What am I going to do? So what a lot of people do, man, we've all got smartphones now. You load up all your music on your phone. You can plug your phone into a channel on the mixer. Still got music. You just save the party.
Right.
Or let's say someone's got some like off-the-wall request and they're like, here's $50, play this song. You don't have it. Download it off YouTube or iTunes, whatever. You can play it through there, not even mess with your program, so you can keep mixing your own songs, but you can throw something else in. So that's kind of the advantage of having multiple channels to work with, is you have that much more to kind of safety net you from being stuck with silence.
Right.
So, what's your opinion between direct drive and belt drive in terms of scratching?
For scratching, direct drive is usually going to be way better. Belt drive is not as strong, so it's not as responsive. A direct drive motor is more torquey, so it gives you a little bit more resistance. It also can take a beating over time longer than a belt. So all the belt is literally just a big rubber band.
Yeah.
And once that elastic wears out, go. The direct drive is built into the motor. It's going to last you way longer, more responsive, and it's just easier to scratch with more torque because you have more something pushing at the table.
Alright, so if you want to do like house music, because I
mean the Sony that I
Okay, you can still totally mix with it, and you can still totally scratch with it. It's just if you're really rough on it over time, that belt is gonna wear out. So, but you can still totally do it. It's actually may help you because they're a bit more sensitive because the motor is not as torquey. So if you're trying to beat match and beat juggle with belt drive tables, you're kind of almost like putting yourself at somewhat of like a slight disadvantage because it's not as fast as a direct drive. But if you can make it sound really good and you can work like that, once you move over to direct drive tables, it'll be seamless. You'll be way better. So what I always tell people, everyone's like, oh, you got to have like the best stuff, you know, to sound good. It's like, no. I actually recommend getting the worst stuff that just barely gets the job done, because once you move over to the best stuff, you sound great on it because you understand how everything works from, you know, a fundamental level. So you don't have to have the best stuff to sound the best. You can totally accomplish the same thing with, you know, basic setup. So don't play into that.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Any other questions?
I think you got the best stuff.
Say, work hard for this. Yes, sir.
How do you remain professional in a business that has, like, everybody's brother-in-law is a DJ?
Everyone does it.
So
And
how do
that's-
you set yourself out above that?
Mixtapes. You have to have your own mix recorded, because that's kind of like the double-edged sword of being a DJ. Is that, you know, places bars, clubs, they're reluctant to pay, but yet you have to have some kind of experience. So from like a new DJ's perspective, you're like, well, how do I get experience at a place that won't hire me because I don't have this experience? You're like, sure, you can play at home, but you know, they won't just trust that. They're like, okay, sure, anyone can do that, or say that they do that, or like, I watched 4 YouTube videos on Tiesto all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not how it works. So you're gonna have to learn how to record your mixes and present them, because that's essentially what you're doing, is you're marketing yourself, and they have to hear what you do. So if you hand someone a CD, you're like, hey, listen to this, 9 times out of 10 they'll probably just throw it out unless they know it. So you have to be persistent, and you have to become recognized. Because, basically shadow other DJs, get to know them. You know, don't follow them or hound them or anything. Just, get to know them, show them that you respect the craft. And, hand it to them, go meet managers of places, hand it to them. Basically, the more people that have your music at their disposal, the more likely it is that you're going to get to play something. And even if they don't pay you at the beginning, it's still experience. So technically, you're getting paid with something that's, that has no monetary value, but it does have value in the long run because you got experience. And that's something that that's a big part of performing, is you have to be ultra comfortable. Some of the best advice I was given from one of my DJ friends was, no matter where you're playing, if you just take it back to where you practice, like if you practice in your bedroom, and that's the most comfortable place for you. No matter where you are, just take yourself out of the situation and just think, oh, I'm just, practicing in my bedroom, just going to do what I normally do. There's no stress. Some people are super intimidated by crowds. Other people embrace that. I recommend embracing it. If you like people to listen to you, you have everyone's attention. You can be as loud as you want. So that's kind of like the cool thing of being a DJ is you have that control. And eventually, once you become really comfortable with it, you can build this connection. You can read your audience, and you can tell, like, all right, I can see from what their reaction is to a few songs that I've played, like where I should go next, or what doesn't work, what does work. You can kind of get away with a little bit more. And then even really good DJs, they'll slip something completely off the wall that maybe everybody recognizes, halfway through the set, or just somewhere in there. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe they just played that. But a big thing is you have to win your crowd over early. Because people are super fickle. They get so bored, so sick, everyone's got 5-second attention span. So if you can't get your crowd within the first few songs, you have a tough time winning them over that night. So the best thing is to win them over early. That way they're more open to whatever it is that you play. So if they, first few songs, everyone's like, oh, those are my jams, I know all those songs. A DJ can play more underground stuff that nobody's ever heard of, and people are still like, all right, that's cool. Whereas if you start off with stuff that nobody knows, they're like, what is this guy playing? I've never heard this. I don't like this. So that's a big thing. And people love to hear stuff that they've already heard before. Music that's recognizable. That's just the way it is, man. So good DJs will have remixes of super famous Top 40 songs. That way people recognize it, but maybe it's slightly different than what they're used to. So that DJ, therefore, is awesome because he has something that they know, but they don't know. So that's a big part of being a DJ. It's digging. It's finding the music that sounds the best that nobody else has. And with the internet being as amazingly luscious as it is now, everybody's got access to this stuff. So now you have to work even harder to separate yourself and to find music that nobody else has. Or you could jump into production and make music yourself. That way, nobody's got it. And that is kind of like the logical progression from the DJ is once you become really comfortable playing, you'll want to play new stuff that nobody's got, probably start making music. Or even the other way around. If you produce music, you want people to hear it, become a DJ. Play your own music. That's what a lot of the biggest name people, that's what they do. They play their own stuff, their own edits. Maybe they'll play some other people's stuff if it's really that good, but most of the time it's their own flavor. You don't even have to do anything that crazy. Just load up the song and Pro Tools, Ableton, whatever, make a few little minor adjustments, boom, you just made it. That easy. Just change the tempo, change the key, whatever. It's that easy. And you have something different.
Just add an 808.
808, there it is. Make it clap. That's it. Yeah. 909, you feeling a little frisky? Yeah. Yeah. So that's
away from the 808.
yeah. See, that's the beauty of it. And so, and even with software programs like this, they have onboard samplers, so you can import loops. So if you want to add extra loops on top, you could technically mix 2 tracks together, have some extra loops going. Or even if you have a large enough mixer, you can incorporate drum machines, a synthesizer in there. So you could have 2 tracks being mixed. You could have 2 tracks of you playing something completely different. You mix that on top of it. You have a live performance now. You're not just some guy playing songs. You're someone performing. That's the biggest thing, because 10 years ago, you could get away with playing just music. You could play one genre. You'd be awesome. Nowadays, it's not going to fly. You have to be versed. You got to be able to play, house music, rap music, rock, whatever. Just, you got to be open, and you got to have those sounds in order to capture something that everyone in the audience wants to hear. You've got all different types of musical consumers out there. Some people who, like banging stuff, some people who like soft stuff, but if you can mix a little bit of all that together, you've won everybody over. That's how you play again. And so the best DJs, they have crates that are so well versed that no matter what kind of party they're playing, it doesn't even matter. They can just start playing music and they'll make it work. Because they can read people, they know their crates well enough, and they know the songs well enough that they know from past experience as well. That like, this song's gonna work. This song's not gonna work. This song might work, I don't know, let's see what happens. That's another big part of it too, is you can never be scared to play something. You have to know, you have to try it, just go with it, see what happens. Because if you don't see, you'll never know. So that's a big part of it.
How do you know what flips people out?
Reaction, which is an awesome thing. As a DJ, you have front row view of everything that's going on. So you'll see some really funny stuff. People's reaction to songs, people go crazy, people hate it, people love it, but you get to see it all. And as you DJ and as you play more shows, you get really comfortable in reading those reactions. So now you almost become psychic to the point where, like, I see how they're acting, I know where I can go with this set where they'll have the best time. And it's stuff that you like too. So you'll be jamming, having a good time. They see that, you're the personification of their party. Especially for people who don't go out much. They see that, they're like, I don't know what to do. There's music, there's people, not in my house, I don't know what's happening. And they see, some DJ looking, super sad boy over here, playing songs. They're like, it's not that good, But they see someone who's like, in it, they're doing stuff, they're making it look like they're actually like doing something. They're all about it. So that's a big part of it too, is you got to kind of be an actor as well. So, as I said,
Tweaking that fader.
Yeah, when will the bass drop? Yeah. You guys have any other questions? No? Cool. Right on. That's DJing 101.